back to the Broad Podcaster. I'm Jennifer Fierro here in the Highland Lakes, joined again with Daniel Clifton. Segment number 2, we're going to get into the previews for this week's contest. We're going to start with Burnet traveling down to Canyon Lake and talk a little bit more about that. I think I'm the only one who's been able to see Burnet and Canyon Lake. You haven't seen Burnet yet,
I haven't seen
right,
Burnet
Daniel?
yet, so you've seen both Burnet and Canyon Lake, and I ran both times against Marble Falls.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I mean, what's your thoughts on looking at those two? I know it's kind of hard to compare two teams when they didn't play, but seeing what you've seen both games, what you thought of Canyon Lake and how you thought of Burnet when they played Marble Falls, and what's the kind of compare and contrast them against each other, how they looked, what they did different, what did Canyon Lake do against Marble Falls, what did Burnet do against Marble Falls that's successful?
I do think Canyon Lake has a better matchup with Burnet than what Marble Falls presented to the Bulldogs. And the reason I say that is because going into the game, I thought Grant Jones was the best player on the field on either sideline. I had Jamie Castillo, the Marble Falls running back, for $145. And he had like a 60-yard run during that game. People talked about Jamie about as much as they talked about Grant, and Dash didn't. Dash had 15 carries for 100 yards and the touchdown. Where Canyon Lake has an edge is exactly what you said. They don't play Ironman football. So they have 22 starters, 11 offensive starters and 11 defensive starters. Burnet doesn't have that. So what Burnet does is they have Denton, Chris Kasner, and Lou Laidler, and that's their three-headed running back system. Well, all three of those kids also play defense.
Yeah.
Grant Jones, they put Grant Jones at safety. He had the only interception, the only turnover Marble Falls had. But he was in at safety to make that catch the other night. So you have those players right there because Burnet relies so much on them that you will see that they have to. There's no way they have 22 starters in the way that Canyon Lake does. 20, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they probably have 15 to 18 players that start for them, and then they log lots and lots of minutes. So Denton had 15 carries. Kasner had 5 carries. Grant Jones had 7 carries for 84 yards on the end around or the jet sweep. Okay. And then that's where they've used him. But Laidler had 5 carries. Lou Laidler, the junior, had 5 carries for 44 yards and two touchdowns. So that was surprising. But at the same time, I will say this. Do I think that Canyon Lake will crowd the line of scrimmage and have 7 in the box? I do. Because I think that Canyon Lake believes that their secondary is every bit as good as the Burnet wide receivers. And then I think they're going to test Rhett Murray and see how accurate he really is throwing the ball with pressure. Lots of pressure. And Rhett, to me, I didn't see Stephen McGee play. You did. But Rhett, to me, is a pocket passer. He is somebody that he doesn't look. Let me rephrase that. Because he hasn't had to, I don't see a lot of RPOs. I see him staying in the pocket a lot. I see him do a lot of bubbles. They throw a lot of bubble screens. And that's where I think Burnet understands where their strengths are. And they utilize those strengths by quickly getting the ball out of Rhett's hands and getting it to the skill players, where they get it to Grant Jones and have Trenton Park and Will Johnson and some of the other receivers block for him. And then Grant's ability to get to his second, third, and fourth gears in terms of speed, he's very good about getting to his top speed very, very quickly. And that's where I think people may not see that as much, because against Marble Falls, he only had 2 catches for 32 yards. They only had 40 yards in passing, but that's because Marble Falls refused to let them get their air game going. Marble Falls really made them throw the or run the football rather against them. So that's where I think if it comes down to it, I think Canyon Lake's depth may be the difference in this one.
And I think getting pressure on the quarterback, it'll be interesting to see how Rhett holds up, because Canyon Lake does get pressure on the quarterbacks. They will get around the end. They've got Carter Williams, Justin Abbott. They'll come around those ends and they'll get some sacks. And that's even in teams. Surprisingly, I think they got a good sack on Wimberley early on, but Carter's got like 5 sacks this year already. Justin's in there 4 or 5 maybe, I think. So they're going to try to bring pressure on Rhett. So that's the key. If he's a pocket passer and stays in the pocket, it could be some trouble for him. And otherwise, he'll have to get part of that ball quick or get outside the ends.
Yeah, the one thing that I will say for Marble Falls, where I thought they were so great the other night. See, Burnet was on its way to scoring, and Marble Falls forced the fumble because the kid hit the running back, put a helmet right on the ball, popped the ball loose, and that turned them away and kept that game scoreless to give Marble Falls some hope. But towards the end, like I said, 4 consecutive drives of scores. And I guess I say that to you because my point there is that Burnet does have the ability to score quickly. They can do explosive plays. I have seen them throw the bubble where Grant has gone 60, 70 yards for a touchdown. Dash can run and outrun people 30, 40, 50, 60 yards to a touchdown. Kasner has done that. The deal, though, is I am not sure because I did not see them against Lampasas because I was covering the Marble Falls Canyon Lake game with you that night. The issue where Burnet has won the games they're supposed to. I don't know that they have won a game yet where they haven't been favored to win.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that I think this one is a toss-up just because of the depth. I do think Burnet will bring its A game. It would not surprise me if this game is closer than people think. But in the end, I do think that Canyon Lake will find a way to win at home. I really do. And especially because didn't you say that Canyon Lake has yet to lose 2 in a row? Is that right?
No, they dropped 2 in a row this year so far because they had that streak
Okay.
between Fredericksburg and Marble Falls where they had, gosh, who'd they have? Because they had East Central, Veterans Memorial, then East Central right after that. And Bernie Steele was in there somewhere. Bernie Champion, rather. So they had that 3-game losing streak. But they do seem to bounce back when they have a team that's comparable. Because remember, they started out, they got beat by Wimberley pretty good. Bounced back, beat Fredericksburg. Then they had the 3-game losing streak, got beat by East Central. Came back in Marble Falls and won. So they got beat last week by Davenport. Now they're going to play a team that's probably they're really competitive with. So they're not down in their mouth, I don't think. I think Canyon Lake knows the situation. Coach Drum does a really good job about keeping these kids head in the game and not being, he doesn't try the last week's loss won't beat them this week, I don't think. What they'll do this week will depend. Last week's loss won't be the reason they lose a game or win a game. They're just going to be, they're well coached. They seem very well disciplined. And on the sidelines, when you're walking, you don't hear them getting frustrated or getting mad with each other. They're just very disciplined. And they wear that term brotherhood on the back of their helmets. And I think that really means a lot to them.
That I agree with you. I think that will make a difference. Because I'm as interested in the outcome of this game as I am the Davenport Lampasas game.
Yeah.
Because while with Marble Falls and Taylor playing each other, and both of those teams haven't won a game yet, then that means that there are 2 teams that are undefeated in the district that are playing each other, and that is Lampasas and Davenport this week. Real quick, I did find some stats for the Davenport Canyon Lake game. They're small. Canyon Lake had 215 yards of total offense, 125 in the air, 90 yards on the ground. Let me see what they had. They were 2 of 11 on third down
Yeah,
conversions.
that's gonna.
Davenport was 6 of 9. And let me see what else here, because I wanted to see the turnovers. Hang on just a second. That screen disappeared. Let me see if I can get it back. Um, Davenport had no turnovers, and Canyon Lake had 3, 2 fumbles and 1 interception. So I again, but that two for 11 is
Yeah.
glaring on third down, especially if you're trying to do a slot T. Because that's obviously, if you can't move the ball on third down in the slot T, that limits your options and your ability to do other things. Um, Daniel, do you have time to do one more segment? You want do
Yeah, I'll throw you
because
a
I
quick
almost feel
one. Yeah, I can do a quick one.
yeah, if we can do a quick one. Okay. Let's close this one out. I know we need to get into the Marble Falls Taylor game. We're going to do that in the next segment. Jennifer Fierro, your broad podcaster here in the Highland Lakes with Daniel Clifton. Please stay with us for the third segment. We'll be right back.